Welcome to Champion Minded, the podcast for those who aim for excellence, not only in the sports arena, but in life. My name is Allistair, author, speaker, mindset and performance coach, and my goal is to help you unleash your unlimited potential and provide you with the tools to achieve greatness. Are you ready to become champion minded? Then let's do this. Welcome back to the Champion Minded podcast. My guest today on What It Takes, the part where I get to interview world-class performers in their field, isn't only our very first female guest, but also our very first Paralympian athlete. Erica Gavel is a Canadian Paralympian in wheelchair basketball and was selected for the 2016 Rio Paralympic Games. She represented Canada. Now, maybe some of you might know, but I've personally worked and still do with Paralympians. Last year, I had the honor to work with the United States men's soccer team, and I also currently consult to the US wheelchair tennis program. So it's something that's very close to my heart and I'm passionate about. And with that note, I'd like to welcome in Erica. Welcome to the Champion Minded podcast.
Thank you for having me. Should be good, I think.
Yes, I think it's going to be fun. So, first female and also first Paralympian. So, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. I'm honored. I didn't know that.
All right, Erica. So, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a brief history of your background, where you grew up, and a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, for sure. I'm originally from, I live in Toronto right now in Canada, and I'm actually from Saskatchewan. It's a smaller province in the middle of Canada, and then within Saskatchewan, I actually come from like a smaller city. So within my city, because it's so small, I never really had an opportunity to specialize. So before I wrecked my knee and got involved with Paralympic sport, I was involved in the able-bodied system, and growing up, I played a variety of sports like volleyball, soccer, basketball, softball, kind of whatever was offered in the time of the season. And then what happened was in grade 12, I had a tremendous opportunity, or where I was in a position where I could pick which sport I wanted to do in university. And it just so happened that Lisa Tomaitis, the head coach of our senior women's Olympic team now, she happens to be at the University of Saskatchewan. So she came to my school when I was in grade 11 and did a basketball clinic. But right after that clinic, I knew I wanted to play basketball at the university level. So, I went to the University of Saskatchewan. I played 3 years there. We won a couple national championship medals. Unfortunately, we didn't win the national championships, but we got a bronze and silver. But then going into my fourth year, I wrecked my knee really bad. So the extent of my knee injury is something I can't rehab, which makes me eligible for Paralympics. So it just so happened that when I wrecked my knee, it was in August 2012 when Lisa was in London 2012. So it's a really weird coincidence, but I had to send her an email while she was at the Olympics saying, hey, I wrecked my knee. I'm not going to be able to, my basketball career is over, essentially. And then from there, for about 6 months, I was really depressed, and I wasn't doing very well in school, and I was making decisions I wasn't very proud of and very uncharacteristic of myself.
And if I can just come in there, Erica, how old were you at this stage?
So I would have been, it's 2018, 6 years. I would have been 20 at the time.
Okay, 20 at the time. Okay, continue.
And physio, who I was working with beforehand, he's a sports scientist. And I really didn't know this, but he happens to be involved with Own the Podium on the Paralympic sports science side of things. So anyways, I told him that he contacted me, and he's like, hey, I think you should come in. And so anyways, I went in, and we were talking about activities, and I was like, yeah, maybe I could do wheelchair basketball. And he was just kind of like, oh, I think that would be I think that would be really good for you, like to get active and get a little bit more social. All my friends were on the university team, and like I said, I was pretty depressed. And about a week later, I got an email from him saying that I needed to come to his office slash gym tomorrow. And I was like, oh wow, this is really weird. So, anyways, I went there, and this would have been late December 2012, right before Christmas.
Okay.
And he drew a T on a white piece of paper, and he was just like, you have two options, because I was still not doing well in school and really depressed. And he's like, you can get help and get your life back in order, or you can listen to me and go to the Paralympics. I was just like, I didn't even know it was classifiable for a Paralympic sport. And so anyways, we kind of chatted a little bit about, we chatted about it and potential opportunities and what that could mean academically and also from a sport perspective. And so anyways, I remember I was still in crutches. I went out to my vehicle and I texted Lisa to Midas, and I was kind of like, hey, this is what Bruce Craven just told me. And I think she was supporting me just because it was like a step forward in like doing something enjoyable again. But yeah, she's like, I think that sounds like I really believe in you, and I think this is something that you could accomplish. And so anyways, I put all my faith in Bruce and ended up going to Rio.
Wow.
It was a tremendous experience. Like, it was an interesting experience in the sense I was still upset and mad and depressed about my knee, but I knew that if I didn't turn the light switch on and fully dedicate my entire life to wheelchair basketball, there's no way I would have ever had a chance to go to Rio. Yeah, I was 3.5 years out, and it was like time was very important. So yeah,
I think that's such an important lesson there. Is that you know, we have a choice. We have a choice with regards our circumstances. Not always easy. There you were. You were an able-bodied athlete. Played a lot of sports as a kid. Then got the devastating news that you probably wouldn't play sport again and move again, but you made that choice, and I'm sure basketball wheelchair is thankful that you did make that choice, and especially Canadian basketball, so wheelchair. So no, that's inspiring to hear. As you mentioned, you represented Canada in the recent Paralympics in Rio. Tell us about your experience there.
Yeah, no, it was. It's kind of one of those things like you imagine what it's gonna feel like to like go to the athletes' village. We had a game the next day, so we didn't get to go to the opening ceremonies. But to be completely honest, I think there's two phases of going to Paralympics for your first time. So I think the first phase and the most emotional part was actually just getting the phone call I had made the team. It was a really weird experience, to be honest. It was I cried for 3 hours, and
wow,
it was so much.
3 hours.
3 hours, and it was like going like ups and downs. Like I think it was a very cumulative effect, as in like the amount because before I wrecked my knee, actually, I had went through a lot of injuries, and for me, going to Rio was more than just getting to work Canada at the Paralympics. It was just, I guess it's very cliche, but it really was a lot of perseverance and always flip-flopping perspective. And I think it was just 6 or 7 years of like continuous, deliberate work, and I was finally getting the reward, because I didn't get that reward in stand up. So I think that first experience before I even went to Rio was just like I did it. Like I really can't believe I did it. So that was just an amazing feeling and experience. But then, like, to go to the village and to be a part of Team Canada, like, I didn't really think about what it would be like when, when we got there, but it was a really weird experience in the sense that, like, you're kind of like on an emotional high the entire time. And I didn't recognize or even know I was tired until I realized that when I was going to sleep at night, I was falling asleep within like probably a minute and a half. And I'm not a type of person who falls asleep very quickly. And I mean, there's so much going on. You get this pass and all of a sudden it's like an all-inclusive resort for 4 weeks, but around all your favorite things, right? Like, everyone's super passionate, excited to be there. It's high performance, and I mean, I'll be honest, I really like hanging around high-performing people.
Yeah, there's definitely something hanging around or being around excellence, isn't it? I mean, you know, two of the most important things I believe in life are surrounding yourself with the right people and being in the right environment, and definitely a place like the Olympic Village and around like-minded athletes must be an incredible feeling. But I want to move on to the challenges that you face in Paralympic sport, because this is a very interesting conversation, because you've been involved in both sides, and you know, my experience of working with Paralympians, with the United States soccer team, with the United States Tennis Association, is that there's a lot of challenges. What financial challenges or other challenges have you experienced as a Paralympian?
I think, I mean, what's really interesting about, I guess, from my perspective, is that, like, I've been on both sides, right? And I think one of the, like, something that I guess really bothers me is the lack of opportunity in that university age group.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I know for a lot of, like, a big part of our able-bodied system, actually, they rely on that university age group system, because you're not, like, you might not necessarily be in that top pool of either developmental or senior national team athletes, but you could have potential given an opportunity to be in a high performance environment for 4 or 5 years. And financially, if an athlete in Canada especially wants to be in that type of environment and do school at the same time, it's going to cost them tens of thousands of dollars. Whereas the able-bodied counterparts, they have, like, so many opportunities to do that for free.
Yeah, you know, just coming in there, I was a few months back. I was at Auburn University doing some consulting there, and I was able to meet Rob Taylor, who runs the program at Auburn, the basketball program there, and got a little bit of insight. But I mean, they seem to be doing okay. I mean, obviously, I don't know enough, but it definitely is a challenge. When I have spoken to wheelchair tennis players from college, that exactly what you're saying right now. There's not enough support. There could be more more of an interest in it. So yeah, interesting that you should bring that up, Erica. Erica, moving on. Do you think, in your opinion, there's a lack of awareness in regards to Paralympic sport? And you know, you just spoke about college there, but on a whole?
Yeah, I would say so. And I think most people perceive Paralympic sport as you have to have you have to be an amputee, or you have to be in a wheelchair. And it's funny because I actually meet a lot of people now where you get talking with them and they are classifiable for Paralympic sport and they don't even know. And so, like, there's definitely, like, a lack of awareness, but I also see it as missed opportunity.
So in your opinion, Erica, how could we get that message out more? I mean, how could we attract more people to wheelchair sports?
I think it's definitely just almost like even to like explaining to people that like you don't need to be in a wheelchair because I feel like if you're in a wheelchair or you have an amputee, you kind of have an idea that you're probably eligible for the Paralympics. That's just based on my observation. But for people that might have a minor case of CP or have a knee injury like me or something in the ankle or hip, I think just more school presentations or more coverage of athletes who aren't in wheelchairs or who aren't amputees.
Okay, now I'm going to come in there and play a little bit of the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Whose responsibility is it, do you feel, to get wheelchair sports out there in general? Is it more administration, management, leadership, or do you feel the athletes themselves could do more?
I think it's everyone. So I think as an athlete, like for example, I'm doing my master's right now at university, and like I really try to promote the Paralympics in all of my research projects when I'm talking to our high performance department and my friends. And I mean, from an administration standpoint, it's kind of like the camel's nose. Like they know there's potential there, but they really don't know it. There's just so many unknowns.
Mm.
And
But
I think
if
it,
I know I'm jumping in here, but this is so important because obviously now having experience working in Paralympic sports and obviously in able-bodied sports, that a lot of the times, and I'm not labeling this on Paralympians, but a lot of the times athletes feel that things should be done for them or sponsors should be found for them or they're owed something in a way. As we're, in my experience, I feel the athletes are the ones that are let's put it this way: the sponsors are interested in the athletes,
right.
and I feel athletes could do more to attract those sponsors instead of leaning on leadership, administration to find those sponsors for them. What would your opinion be there?
So I would say this is like a very like it's like this statement is both on the Olympic and Paralympic side,
Mm,
and I do think that sometimes athletes feel um, Olympic and Paralympic if they're a national team athlete they're entitled to sponsorship and opportunities.
mm,
And I guess from my own personal experiences, it's all about the athlete putting themselves out there
mm.
and making those connections and networking and yeah, like I really do think that athletes they need to look at themselves as an entrepreneur and
I like
treat
that.
like treat themselves as like a business.
Yeah.
So I know for me, like in my early years, and I still do it all the time, whenever I have an opportunity to volunteer for something, and if it works in my schedule, I'll usually do whatever I can to be there. Because it's not so much like that experience, it's the people you meet because of that experience.
Exactly, and I mean, Erica, that's gold right there, and that's exactly where I wanted to go. And I mean, by no means that I want to put you in a corner or put you in a place, but it's just something that I feel really needs to be addressed, and not just in Paralympian sport, but in sports general, that
Yeah.
athletes sometimes feel they're entitled or they're waiting for that sponsor, and you know, if athletes could realize that sponsors are interested in people's stories, they're interested in um, exciting people that are putting themselves out there, and that's the angle I'm coming at from. Is that I feel athletes could do more to put themselves out there, like just like you're saying, any
Yeah.
opportunity there is to attend a let's just call it a wheelchair sports day, a charity, a giving back.
Right.
That's where I feel, that the biggest difference could be made. But moving on, Erica, tell us a little bit about what a training day looks for you and the Canadian team. So, be it in the lead up to the Olympics or even at the Olympics itself.
Well, I mean, right now, from I guess September until end of April, they call it a decentralized training. So depending on your situation, like there's a lot of athletes here in Toronto that train here full time, but there's also athletes that train at home or are in university in the States or play professionally in Europe. But a typical training day here in Toronto for me right now would be so I'd get up at like 5 a.m. and eat breakfast, have some coffee, and then get to the training center I live about 20 minutes away, so I try to get there for about, I guess, 6:30.
Do you have a morning routine, Erica?
Yeah, I like routines.
Okay.
So, so like, for example, I'll wake up at like 5. I'll actually lay in bed for 10 minutes to like think about what I have to do like that morning. Or like I'm in school right now, so anyways, I'll keep going. But then I'll get up about 10 minutes later. I'll make some coffee. I'll have a smoothie. I'll usually check my emails. If it's important, I'll reply. If not, I'll wait till noon.
Thanks for replying to my email, Erica, this morning.
You're welcome. And then anyways, I'll jump in my car. I'll go to training. I'm very like particular on like warm up. So like I'm doing my master's in physiology, so I would say I'm kind of a Nazi when it comes to like warm up and cool down and just wellness per se. So I'll get there, I'll warm up. We'll train from 7 till 10 because I combine 2 workouts, but the way I combine them, it's like it physiologically makes sense, so I'm not wasting my time. And then I'll cool down, I'll stretch, and then I'll come back home for about, I guess, 11:15. And then I'll shower, change, maybe take a 20-minute nap, go to school, do homework till about 5:15, and then train again from 5:30 till 7, and then usually come home and go to bed, be in bed by about 9 o'clock.
That sounds like quite a champion-minded day, I've got to admit. Routine, structure, taking care of the small details like stretching and taking care of nutrition. So excellent stuff. Erica, advice for some young Paralympians or wheelchair athletes out there. What advice would you give a young athlete?
I think one of the greatest things or biggest takeaways I can, like from my own experience, is just that it really is a very long process, and just the importance of, like you said, like the details. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to really do anything that might be considered hard or abnormal, it's a game of marginal gains. And you also have to be cautious that no matter whatever decision you make is either gonna take away or increase your chance of reaching your goal. And I mean, going back to having structure and routine, I think that's a really great way to alleviate some of the stress that someone might encounter when having to make those little decisions.
I agree.
I'm a big fan on decision-making fatigue. So other than, I don't like to wear the same clothes every day, but other than that, I try to stay as simple and basic as possible. So when it comes to having to make a decision on nutrition per se, I find it easier to make higher quality decisions.
Where does that, if I can come in there, where does that type of mindset come from? Where did you develop that kind of mindset?
So actually, Bruce Craven from Saskatoon, he's been a mentor of mine for it's almost 10 years now, but um, he's definitely taught me a lot about the small things, and his big thing is smarter is harder. And it's all about, for him, it's like we don't work out for the sake of getting tired. It's what's scientifically gonna help you reach your potential. And from there, we started looking at, I guess, different like other aspects of a person's life, like transportation, and we also started to look at like what is stress, right? So stress can be either mental stress or physical stress, and the mental stress has a lot to do with the way you perceive something, but at the end of the day, both the physical and mental are going to impact your essentially your recovery. And I think the older I get, the more aware I am of it. And yeah, like it's a process. Like each year, like for example, each September we'll go over my training plan or just my day in general, and I'll think I have a really great plan in place, right? And I'll execute the plan, and things will go really well, and we'll consistently hit PBs and PRs. But then come next September, we look back at this year, and I'd say 9 times out of 10, we look back and most of it is garbage. It's like we're constantly evolving and constantly looking for ways to improve. Yeah, and I mean, it's just when I was training for Rio, he wanted me to do this one exercise, and I kind of laughed at him, and I was just like, this is silly. Like nobody else does something like this, right? And he kind of just said like, well, do you want to be like everyone else and not get on the podium? I was like, that's a really good point. And so, I mean, yeah, it's definitely, I would say he's been the biggest influence on my sporting career, and I guess career outside of sport too.
So, I mean, it sounds like you've really found a great mentor, and I think that would be something that would be great advice for obviously young athletes out there, is try and find a great mentor. And you know, sometimes it might not even be someone involved in sports or coaching or a physiotherapist or whatever it may be, but just finding a good voice and someone that can lead you in the right direction, and someone that can have the hard conversations with you, correct?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think, I mean, I do a lot of coaching now too. And to be completely honest, I think the biggest difference between myself and a lot of other people who I've coached is when someone with more experience says to me, hey, if you ever need anything or want some help, contact me. And to be completely honest, that's the only reason why I am where I am. Is because people say, hey, if you need anything, I happen to be an expert in this area, feel free to contact me. I do follow up and contact them.
Wow, that is some great advice right there, because I mean, so many times, especially in elite sport, be it in able-bodied or in wheelchair, it's sometimes our ego can get in the way of wanting to take advice, or we become very judgmental in terms of saying to ourselves, okay, well, what does this person know, and what have they done? But you know, that's something I think, Erica, I've learned as well over the years is be open-minded. I mean, obviously stick to your values, your standards, you have your belief systems, but be open-minded. You can learn from anyone. I mean, I've learned from teenagers. You know, I've learned from everybody. As we're maybe 10, 15 years ago, I would have been more judgmental of okay, do they have more experience of me? Have they done more than me? Have they achieved more than me? But, you know, it's so important that we just keep ourselves open, right?
Right. And like we kind of talked about, like, put yourself out there, meet people, and then, yeah, when they offer to help, take the help, because you're only going to get better. So.
Yeah, I mean, great point as well. Put yourself out there. How many times do we do we miss out on opportunities? I mean, just yesterday, I'm in Colorado at the moment, and I just got chatting to a guy in the locker room, and it ended up that we'll probably do a seminar or a conference together. But if I hadn't struck up that conversation and about swimming, out of all things, hey, it wouldn't have happened. So we've really got to put ourselves out there. Erica, do you still see yourself being involved in wheelchair basketball or Paralympics after your playing career?
Yeah, I think so. I'm involved with a couple things with the Canadian Paralympic Committee, and I'm involved with the Athlete Council and also a Paralympic Performance and Games Committee. And the really cool thing about being on these, I guess, committees and councils is you just you get a really great, I don't know, you really learn what happens behind the scenes. And so right now I'm doing a master's in physiology, and I'm training and coaching. But I could really see myself one day working in high performance, but maybe on the administration side of things. Because right now I feel I'm very passionate about a lot of different areas. But what I really like about some of the administration jobs is it's kind of like you're kind of like a generalist. So you need to understand like how all these components work, but you don't necessarily have to become an expert in only one area. And I have a really great mentor right now who's with CPC, and she helps me out. And I'm open to a lot of different jobs, whether it's the sports science or director. But long term, I would really like to work in some capacity with the Canadian Paralympic sports system.
Excellent. Well, that's good to hear, especially for Canadian sport. So, Erica, moving on to rapid fire questions. Not one word. Not more than one word or answer or sentence. I'm getting all muddled up there. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Favorite hobby?
Reading.
Favorite band, musician?
Oh, that's a tough one. Can I just say, like,
or type of music, genre?
I guess I really like rave music.
Okay, all right, interesting. Finest moment at Rio or in Rio at the Paralympic Games?
Probably the free, when you get your accreditation, you get the free Coke machine. That was pretty cool.
Okay. Favorite other sport to watch besides basketball?
Soccer.
Okay. Last book read?
Oh, I forget. I just read a journal article. Actually, Tribe of Mentors.
Okay. Good book?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite movie?
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Favorite food?
Pizza.
Okay. Favorite sports team? Can be anything.
Team Canada.
Okay, fair enough. That's pretty general. So patriotic, you Canadians, aren't you, huh?
Yeah, we are.
Favorite country or place ever visited?
France.
Okay. Tea, coffee, or protein shake?
Coffee.
That was very quick. You were very decisive on that one.
Yeah, I really rely on it.
Okay, favorite athlete, male or female? Past or present? And there might be more than one, so...
Yeah, that's a really tough one. Actually, her name's Sarah Crooks. She was on our national team. She actually inspired me to play basketball. So.
All right. Shout out to Sarah.
Mm.
Something others don't know about you.
I come from a very big Ukrainian family.
Okay. All right. Minsk? Is Minsk in Ukraine?
The what?
I might just sound absolutely stupid right now with my geography. What is the capital of Ukraine?
Okay, I don't even know.
Oh boy, okay. I think we're going to have to edit that part out. So
I think so too.
Person who inspired or inspires you the most?
Probably. Can I say 3?
Sure.
Probably Lisa Tomaitis, Heather Springer, Bruce Craven, I guess 4, and then Catherine Gosselin-Dupree.
Okay. One word that best describes you.
Deliberate.
Okay. Biggest pet peeve.
When people show up late.
Okay, time management. I like that. Favorite cheat food.
Let's see here. Ice cream.
Okay. Flavor.
Vanilla.
Okay. All right, Erica. Awesome. Erica, final question. In your opinion, what does it take to be champion-minded?
To get uncommon, you have to be uncommon.
I like that. Short and sweet and to the point. Erica, it's been a pleasure. If the people out there want to reach out to you or follow you, what would be the best way?
Probably Twitter. I would say so.
Okay, and your Twitter handle?
At Erica Gavel.
Awesome stuff. Erica, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for giving us an insight into Paralympian sport. Thank you for being the first female guest on the Champion Minded podcast, and we're definitely going to be following you in the months and years to come.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for joining me. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with anyone who you might know would benefit from it or who aims to create excellence in their life. Also, please head on over to iTunes, subscribe, and please leave a review. I would greatly appreciate that. And don't forget that this podcast is also available on YouTube. If you'd like to stay connected, I'm on social media at Twitter at Allistair McCall, Instagram, Be Champion Minded, Facebook, McCall Method, and if you'd like to leave a comment, share some feedback, then please email me at mccallmethod@aol.com. Also, big thanks to all of you who share my posts on social media under the hashtag ChampionMinded. I greatly appreciate it. So, until next week, remember you were made for greatness. Now go out and do the work. Until next time, stay champion-minded, my friends.